Welcome to the DL Gaming Podcast. We're adding games both new and old to your backlog with one slightly inappropriate episode at a time. My name's Amanda, and obviously I sound like, hey, listen over here, I've been smoking like 20,000 cigarettes a day. No, just kidding. I had a cold last week going back to Michigan, and now my voice sounds busted. Joining me today is Christian.
I'm also sick, and I have almost nearly lost the podcast $2,000. So we'll get into that in a bit. It's all
crazy.
Fun times.
All fun and games, right? Yeah. Well, this week we're going to be talking about Voidling Bound and Age of Empires 3, the definitive edition. But first, Christian, what's new? Tell me about the virus. Maybe not the one in your body, but the one on your PC.
Yeah. So, Amanda, have you seen season 3, episode 2 of the hit Apple TV series Silo?
Probably gonna watch that after this podcast, buddy. But no, I've only seen the first episode, and then I had to leave. And so I haven't been back at my couch until
You've
last
only seen
night.
the first episode of
no, of season 3. Of
season 1.
No, season 3. Oh, trust me, we are caught up. This is a silo house, but we're behind.
Okay. Got it. Yeah, so Silo, an amazing series. Apple TV, I know nothing about it. I'm not an Apple guy. Never been. People say, I have an iPhone, it does all this stuff. I'm like, I don't care. Stop talking to me. But I really love Silo. I was watching it at my dad's house, who's an Apple guy, and we watched it over Christmas break a couple years ago. I was like, I love this. This is amazing. The books, the whole thing. So I do what any self-respecting non-Apple TV subscriber would do in this situation. And I go to my good friend, Qubit Torrent, and I type in Silo S3E02, and I see what pops up. And I download one, and bada bing, bada boom, I double click on hidden exe file and infect my computer. I immediately unplug. I'm like, fuck. I immediately unplug from the internet, like the hard Ethernet. I don't have Wi-Fi on this PC. I'm doing this from a drive that is like my media device. So I unplug that. I immediately boot the computer in safe mode. All right, I'm doing all the things. I'm like, I got it. Contained. And I upload the virus to the virus. I think it's called Virus Totals is the website. And it tells you like what you're dealing with.
Oh, that's cool.
So, yeah, it was like, this is definitely a phishing virus. And also, it's likely downloaded something to your extensions, your Chrome extensions, so that if you go to another device or you delete the virus and open up Chrome, it can restore itself through talking to ChatGPT or Claude or any other LLM that you have that a single click login from your Chrome profile. So the virus will go in, talk to the agent, do whatever it needs to do as long as you have the one click, which I do. And I was like, oh my fucking God.
The viruses has ChatGPT now? It's crazy, dude. It's insane.
That's what I'm told. Or that's what the Virus Totals told me. But I immediately wiped my computer. I hard reset Windows. I went to my other PC, which wasn't connected to the internet, but you can still access your local extensions. So I deleted all my extensions and I disconnected sync. And then I changed all my passwords on the other PC, all of my passwords but one. And
which
I have like 7 Google accounts, like across all the different work that I do and, this household. So I'm changing all the passwords. I'm like, fuck, I'm such a dumbass. By the way, the VLC logo, that orange pylon that pops up.
Yeah.
That was the icon for the EXE, the exact same icon as season 3, episode 1 Silo that I downloaded. These motherfucking Brazilians. and they're not Paraguayans pretending to be Brazilians. We have hard evidence that. Anyways, that's putting the Brazilian before the horse a bit here. So I get rid of everything. I'm feeling relatively confident. I do multiple scans of my computer. My extensions look good. I'm like, oh, phew, I got rid of this, changed all my passwords. So anything that was sent in that limited time, which I'm sure was my entire device or whatever they could scrape, whatever I was logged into, all that's changed. I physically wrote down all of my passwords because I was so paranoid at the time of forgetting them because I was doing it so quickly. And I have like 2 pages of passwords. I'm like, okay, I'm going through everything. My Instagram chain, like my banking,
Yeah.
obviously all the important stuff. And
Oof.
I didn't even consider DLG because I wasn't logged into the Chrome profile at the time. And I thought, well, if I'm not logged in, how would they get it? They'd have to log in and get it. But they got it. And today, right before a very important work meeting, I get something like 50 emails in Portuguese, Brazilian Portuguese, being like, we are trying to transfer 1,400 into Brazilian. And what is the Brazilian currency, Amanda, that we found out?
It's one. I already forgot it.
Real.
Real, yeah, Real, yeah.
Yeah. Or reals. I don't know.
I always thought of a
it,
raise like as like a plural, but
Yeah.
yeah, it's one real, and this was a little too real for us, I think, with their security. Yeah.
Yeah, so they drained our PayPal, or they attempted to drain our PayPal, and I feel like I interrupted the midstream, that is, because they didn't remove their contact information from the back, and they did it through. I mean, I don't know if I should get this far into it, but like they did it through a couple of different applications, and we found out that one of the applications is like legislated by the Brazilian government, where you have to use your real first name and last name and address to even make an account, and they verify that with your ID. So and it's in Brazil. These are Brazilian people. And so we were fairly confident that these aren't, Ukrainians pretending to be Brazilians, or, Nicaraguans or Americans. These are real Brazilians who don't listen to this podcast and who hacked in. And luckily we were able to contact PayPal, which is a whole other odyssey.
Whole thing.
Talk about Christopher Nolan,
Yeah.
3-hour movie. Jeez, this took me a lot longer than 3 hours, but and stop the transactions. So at the moment, all they've taken from us is 33 Canadian decals. Hopefully that's it. We'll follow up with you later. If you've ever been hacked, I just want you to share your story in the Discord so I don't feel alone. Obviously, this was so stupid, like to run the EXE, just to not realize I had downloaded it in the first place, and not having EXEs added as something that doesn't even show up in my torrent list to accidentally download. These are all things you can do. My inspect view was big thumbnails instead of the actual file type. The second thing, my LLMs are all single authentication logins. So all I have to do is be logged in my Chrome account, as are so many other of my things that I use. It's a huge vulnerability. And of course, I changed all the passwords except the podcast password. So I had to put Amanda and Taylor through also a little bit of a grueling experience through no fault of their own. They were just enjoying their day. And I was like, we're hacked.
Yeah. It's crazy. I don't know. I've never dealt with fraudulent things like that. But at the same time though, dude, we came together as a squad, I think. We got to the We've got a suspect in mind, all right?
We had our finest minds on it. Yeah. When I was filling out the RCMP, Royal Canadian Mounted Police, cybercrime report, they ask you, do you have any suspects? And I was like, oh yeah, bitch. I have
we
some
do.
Suspects.
Send them on over.
I caught them midstream.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So
and now there's just piss everywhere, guys. It's kind of messy. It's like,
this is going on for a long, but Amanda, this reminds me of when one of our community members and friends, Nyonko, was hacked. Do you remember that?
Yes.
And he was messaging everyone, and I was talking to the hackers for so long, and I kind of, they were Turkish. These ones were Turkish, and they started just being real with me. And not real
funny.
real.
Yeah.
Real lira, right? They were like, listen, the Turkish lira, I think it's called, is worth so little. Inflation is rocking my country, and me and all my friends are fucked. I just want $40 and I'll give you your friend's account back. And I was like, No, because I don't know if I give you this money, what does that give you access to?
Yeah.
Like to my information? Like, is this opening up some sort of vulnerability? But I did talk to him for an hour or so, and then Nyonko ended up messaging Discord and getting his account back. But that was really fun. I love hackers, but I hate being hacked, I will say.
Yeah, I know, because once we kind of had an idea of a suspect, I was like, should me and that person be friends? Like, what the hell? Like, it's
yeah. We'll invite him for coffee.
Yeah. Like, what is
Anyways,
he doing?
Amanda.
Yeah.
So not only am I sick, I made my computer sick, and I made some of my dearest friends, my contact, also sick with this virus, the Brazilian plague, I think we should call it. What's new with you?
It's a real silo, but so, also I guess not the happiest of news, I suppose. I don't know. I went back to Michigan for a whole week last week. That's why I wasn't on. My grandmother passed away, but she had a very full, lovely life and passed away at 94. And it was actually a pretty, all things considered, for like a funeral and just kind of a death in the family. I think it was actually really healing and really nice for the most part. I got a wonderful, beautiful, like pristine beach Michigan day, which that day is like, it's warm. It was like 92 out. The sand felt perfect. It's like this, like when people think of like the Florida sands and it's like the white sand, like I'm telling you guys, Michigan has that too. And that's the sand that we were on. And then there's this massive like freighter barge that came through the like port right next to us. So at one point I just look over and we hear this, and it's this huge boat, like just taking up the entire vision, slowly going through the port. I'm like, that's a scene I would expect like where I live now in Vancouver, not something I'd expect in Michigan, but it was massive and it was very cool.
So it's people from the coast don't believe me, by the way, when I was like, yeah, we have lakes that are pretty nice, or like, have you seen the Great Lakes? Like, they're pretty much like little oceans, like you can't really tell. And they're like, no, man, you don't know. And it's like, yeah, it's an ocean that won't kill you. It's an ocean that doesn't have like a fucking sharks and a tide and like, it doesn't have a tide, but not the same.
It's literally a tutorial level to maritime experiences, dude. Like, it's amazing. Like, I remember actually, speaking of Taylor, like he one time came and visited me, I think in like 2021, and we went camping, and I was like, we've got to go swimming in Lake Michigan. And so we get there, and I remember him telling me that he had a lot of anxiety once he realized like how far out from the shore we had gotten, because he was like, aren't there riptides? Like, do you have to worry about anything? I'm like, you got to worry about nothing. Nothing, dude.
It's a nice sunny day.
It's a beautiful sunny day. The only thing you got to worry about is boats, and you see them coming a long ways away, and you're the only person around. So I hope they see you. Like, I hope they see you too. Otherwise, that's a whole different story. But it's so nice. It's like such like the most serene, easy thing. Like the ground, even when you're stepping in the water, I was like, I can confidently slam my foot down into the ground while I'm in the water, and I ain't got to worry about sea urchins or sharks or rocks or like even nasty logs. I don't have to worry about any of that.
It's the best version of an ocean,
amazing.
for sure.
Yeah,
for sure.
It's so nice. I loved it. It was perfect. That's kind of really the only thing I really wanted. And then my voice is all messed up from the virus. But I also went to this place. Speaking of gaming, this is related to gaming. I'm just going to say we need more of these, of what I'm about to talk about. We need way more of these. So anybody with like a business mindset, get on it. So what this is,
I'm ordering 10 of these right now.
So what this is I was in the middle of nowhere. I'm going to do the Michigan thing. So there's like Michigan, and we were like there, like literally in the middle of the palm, like middle. In the middle of the palm. So like, this is the nice pretty side where it's like West Michigan on Lake Michigan. This is Detroit. Like,
what is she talking
What is she doing? So I'm holding up my hand. It's a very Michigander thing to be like, this is where I'm from. And then you point to your hand because your hand is the shape of Michigan, which is the shape of a mitten, which is the shape of your hand, right? Like, it's pretty obvious. So anyway, in the middle of your palm is like where I was basically for this funeral and to visit with family. And there's like nothing going on. This is the same tiny little town that I've been to since I was probably born. My grandparents have had the same house my entire life, and we go there. There's nothing good there. Like, it's like basically just, there's like a pizza place that's been around for the longest time that takes frozen pizzas and just puts them in like a toaster oven, and then that's the pizza. And there's not really much there at all. But this time around, we ordered food to go from this place called Blockhouse. And what this is a video game cafe, board game bar and restaurant. And
Okay.
so very cool.
These middle of the nowhere Michiganders were so bored they accidentally made the best thing ever.
Yeah, I'm like, this is incredible. So we order like all this food to go, and for starters, the food was delicious. But then when we pick it up, my brother came up to us at the car and he was like, "You guys need to come in here. There's like Magic the Gathering," which as soon as he said that, I'm like, sold, I'm coming in. But like,
Yep.
He's like, there's video games, it's cool. So we walk in and they had about 4 projectors that took up like half the wall, and they're showing esports and Twitch streamers and video games. And then they have this whole like side of the room that's just filled with cards. There's like Pokemon cards, Lorcana, and like Magic the Gathering and Warhammer sets. And then they have 9 PCs. All I saw was the massive amounts of RGB. I don't have specs. I'm sorry. Maybe I'll have to go back and look into what their specs are, but they looked like very new PCs, and they had like Alienware monitors. So I feel like they kind of went out with these, but they had them all land, and then they had 4 TVs that were probably about 65 inches with all the consoles on them and couches. And then they had all these tables that were made for board games and like large amounts of people to sit and dine at. And it was just so cool. And they had this whole cocktail menu. They had a cocktail called The Witcher. I was like, this is my people right here in the middle of fucking nowhere, Michigan.
Those are your people.
Yeah,
those are your people.
And then the bartender comes up and she's like, yeah, so we have pre-release events and Magic the Gathering tournaments and like all these board game nights and video game nights. And I'm like, dude, this is amazing. And I just, we just need more of this. We need more of this. Bring back the video game cafes, but make it adult. So let's have restaurants and cocktails. Like, yeah. That'd be awesome.
And I said I wanted to order 10 of these. Make it 100.
Yeah.
Make it
across the nation.
Why stop at 10?
We need way more. We need way more. But
build back better, Bart Carney. Isn't that your slogan? Come on.
So that's a lot that's new from us. But moving on to games that we played. Christian, what did you play?
I played Age of Empires 3 Definitive Edition. I can't believe I just coughed so close to the mic, by the way. So sorry if I blew your fucking eardrums.
He's in his spreading virus era. That's what it is.
Yeah. This is who I am now. So with Age of Empires 3, the Definitive Edition, I've come home, Amanda. The rugs are a different color. Mm-hmm. The couches are ish the same, but they have like a different texture. Instead of velvet, they're like leather or something.
Ooh, okay.
The dishware was always like pale and white, and now it's like pale and yellow, and it has like little flower ornaments on it. It's just small changes.
Just like a soft glow up.
Yeah. And I've sat and I'm looking around and I'm going, this isn't exactly home, but I like it. And like Age of Empires 3, the original edition, was published in 2005 by Microsoft, and so many of my formative years were spent doing the Russian Rush, okay. which I did because they were Russians, and I thought that was funny. I was like, ha ha ha, Russians, and I rush with them. Of course, this is probably exactly what the developers thought. They're like, oh yes, Russians, we rush with them, and I nailed that. Like I could do the rush at around the 3.5 minute mark or 4 minute mark. Like I remember practicing and getting really good. And it was one of the only RTS games where I did that. Warcraft 3, I never played ladder at all. Age of Empires 3 didn't have a custom map scene that I remember. And so I just played against other people, multiplayer again and again and again. And I got so good and it was so fun. If you don't know what Age of Empires 3 or maybe the series is, it's this RTS. And this one is set in the age of colonization, and it has a couple weird things. So, like, the more you play a faction, you actually level it up, but you level up the home city. So you can buy, like, there's kind of like a dress-up game in it. You buy, like, skins for your home city, and the home city does nothing except it sits on your home page when you open the game.
Oh, okay.
And so, like, Malta, like the island of Malta in the background is beautiful and the water is like lapping on the shore. And you're like, I want on the Basilica, let's have some like big ass black flags hanging down, and you spend a point on that. You're like, I want someone to be juggling cans at the dock. You buy that, you place it, and you build up your homepage with all these upgrades, and it's really addictive and fun. Honestly, I can't wait to level up my home base when I was playing Age of Empires 3 Definitive Edition again. That was one of the best parts. The other weird thing is they have cards. Have you ever played this game, Amanda? Have you played Age of Empires 3?
I played Age of Empires 2.
Age of Empires
so
2.
like I'm familiar with the concept, yeah, but not the specific game.
So very basic RTS Age of Empires 2. Age of Empires 3, they went in this new direction where you have cards you can play.
Oh.
So it's the age of colonization. So there is a resource type called XP. And whenever you build a unit, but mostly when you trade with locals, you gain experience points. And the more experience points that you send home to your home city sends you back something. So back certain cards. So you're building these home city decks that you can take to different matches depending on like, oh, I'm playing on a huge water map. I need like my water deck. Oh, I'm playing on a map with a lot of trade. I want my treaty deck. And so there's these really powerful like abilities and upgrades and strategies that you can unlock through your deck that is separate from the RTS part and unique per game. And it's just like, you would never think, or at least I would never think to do that in RTS. And I'm so glad that they experimented and tried this because it's just a little weird.
Yeah. Yeah, but it's nice because they've like, just made it, they tried to go modern while still sticking with what works, right? That's at least the kind of way that I'm hearing it. Yeah,
right?
Yeah.
Like, and in Age of Empires 4, they went back to something a lot more traditional RTS, and I understand why. A lot of people like that, but this is 6 years old. The definitive edition is 6 years old, and it still has 5,000 concurrent players. I couldn't believe it. I was like, I went back home and there's still a party happening.
Yeah.
Which is nice.
It's because everybody's having a good time.
Yeah. I ended up playing against, like the typical suspects, like a level 121 Swedish player who walled me in 3 minutes. And I was like, well, this isn't fun. But I also had some really awesome games, and it's through Xbox Game Pass. It's free. So I think the Steam numbers are 5,000 concurrent, but we don't know how many Xbox Game Pass people. And I saw them all the time playing, and a lot of them were really friendly, communicative. It's like an old school. Yeah, it was just full of nostalgia. Everyone was friendly. I had a great time. I've moved on from the Russian Rush, though. I'm done with the gimmick. Partly because I tried it like 5 times in a row, and every time it was countered so easy. I was like, okay, maybe I wasn't as good, or maybe or maybe just people know what to do against this now.
That's true.
So,
or you're just not Russian right.
I'm not Russian right. I'm more Brazilian these days, if I'm being honest with you. I started to toidle up, and the best toidle factions are the Maltese. That's that little island under Italy, right? That's so important to.
Yeah.
Oh,
yeah.
What?
I think so. The I don't know.
What's happening? Okay.
Well, isn't Malta like, in a way, like now it kind of exists in the confines of like a city instead of having like a large amount of land now? I guess now that's different than historically.
Oh, no, it was always a very small holding. I think it was held by these people called the Knights of Rhodes, which the Knights of Rhodes were another island. And then when that was taken over, the Knights of Malta became a thing. Anyways, it's an island under Italy, and I think it's like the place where British people now go if they want to go on a vacation. Big fat walls is this faction. Big fat stationary guns, big booms, big bazungas. And they have these buildings that you can build that are like teleporters around the map. So you build all these different fortified fortresses, and then you can like really quickly go to them. And I thought, this is awesome. I love that they added these new factions in the definitive edition. Like, how cool.
There's
really also
cool.
the Inca. So they build these humongous fortresses, maybe the biggest physical building in the game. You can put like 50 dudes in there, and then they fire arrows out. And the more people you have in the building, the less damage the building takes, and the more damage the building does. So you'll have these really aggressive Inca players who will be trying to set up this massive fortress like really close to your base, like almost fortress you in. And you'll have to deal with that, which I found really fun. Like this game is kind of ridiculous and the different strategies of all the factions, but they all feel really fun. Like nothing feels lame except the Russian Rush.
It's been
Yeah.
overdone. That's cool.
So-
That's super cool.
I'm having so much fun. It's still the Age of Empires 3 that I love. And I played some with Taylor, and he really fucking sucks. So that was cool. And he's not here to defend himself. So I feel like I could say that. I would recommend anyone play this game. It was on sale, I think, for $3 or $4. I mean,
Oh.
you can't go wrong.
Yeah, that's
Yeah.
lovely.
Yeah.
Very cool.
Yeah. That's my Age of Empires 3 story. Does it make you any hankering? I know we played Age of Empires 2, and you, I think, well, you might have been a little high when we played at that time.
Probably. The thing is with any strategy game, I know what I'm getting into when I verse you, man. I'm already gonna lose. But I always have a fun time, so I don't mind.
We're on the same team. I feel like.
Were we? I probably was high, but all I'm getting at is that with Age of Empires 3, I would absolutely love to play this, and with the full knowledge that I will get absolutely wiped, but I'll be smiling and having a fun time and giggling while that happens. So I don't care. Yeah,
that's all that is.
I feel like I'm a great loser with the strategy games because I'm just having fun and I just want to make my brain organize some little things, but I'm not very good at it and I don't care.
Yeah.
So I'm not trying to win.
And the buildings in this game look so awesome. It's very hard to not like do the anno thing where you're like, I'm making a beautiful base. And the AI is like, oh, I'm fucking building a huge fortress on your doorstep. And you're like, I'm lining up my houses. Thank you.
You're like, I could build a road that goes very nice to your large ass base and connects to mine. If you want to trade, we can share things. Yeah.
Let's do some role
And then
play.
AI's like, fuck you.
This is Age of Empires, bitch.
And it's the age of my empire. And you're like, okay, all right, calm down now. Okay, we can all share it. Yeah. Anyway.
What did you play this week?
I played, so one thing, it's another thing I just gotta say, man, the Steam Deck is so clutch. I know it's gone up in price, but it is so nice to have a Steam Deck and especially to have games that work well on the Steam Deck and work well on the PC. I feel like that is really the sweet spot in gaming right now, is something that you could play.
So nice.
Yeah, and it's something that you could play with your keyboard and your mouse, and then you could be like, I'm gonna go. I had to go to Michigan for a week, and I don't want to not game, so I'll just take my Steam Deck and continue my progress, which is what I did for Voidling Bound. But what is this shit, right? It is kind of reminds me of like a Pokemon meets Subnautica meets like an action adventure third-person shooter. I'm
with you.
It's called you are what's called a wrangler, and it's kind of like if
are you called a wrangler or a wrangler?
You're like a wrangler.
Wrangler.
Yeah. So and this is why because you wrangle in and you basically are collecting 9 different species of creatures from these different planets. So you look like, honestly, the guy that is the Wrangler, your main character, reminds me, the Wrangler, he reminds me of like those old school scuba outfits that you see where like the person has the big, huge metal circular thing in the glass. And you know the image, right? Bioshock, exactly.
Metal.
This guy kind of looks like it, and yet he doesn't even talk. And for some reason, I can't get out of my head, and maybe it's because they call him a Wrangler, but I'm like, this motherfucker's a space cowboy. He's a cowboy. He's like sitting there, because you have this like like aviary kind of area where you keep your creatures that you've collected.
Are they called little voidlings?
They're called voidlings, yes. And so the whole premise of this is that you sit in this chair and you neurologically bind with a voidling. That's why you're voidling bound, because you're bound with that voidling. And then you control that voidling to go through. There's 3 main planets and they have different missions for all of them. So everything starts with being at like a hub, and that's where you're the Wrangler and you're walking around and you can see your voidlings like running around frolicking and playing with each other, which already is like a cute detail. Like it's not really important in the
Sonic game
but
too, and it was the best part. I was like, my little dudes. I forget what they called them.
So cute. Yeah. And so like that's nice, but you choose your missions, you can do upgrades, because you get these like research points by doing these missions. and you get these different kind of like elements and mutations that are based on elements. So like this is the part that's way more like Pokemon, where you are collecting these voidlings, and then you are kind of evolving them. You're not necessarily, you're evolving them in a similar way that like Eevee gets evolved in Pokemon, which is like you give Eevee an ice shard and they'll turn into, well, you'd give Eevee like a water shard and they'd turn into Vaporeon, or like an electric stone and they turn into Jolteon. Like that is way more similar to how the evolution works in this game, where you choose a path of an element. So it could be poison, which they call it organic. It could be pyro, which is fire. It could be cryo, which is ice. And it like it drastically changes the way your voidling looks. So in your little aviary area, you could have like 6 of the exact same species, but the way that you've chosen to evolve them make them look like completely different creatures from each other.
Do
which
they
is
play
cool.
cutely, like, you know, the fire voidlings like eek, and the ice voidlings like oh.
No, they're not shooting or attacking each other, but they do prance around and like play hide and seek with each other, which is really cute. And in the beginning, you collect eggs on your levels and on your missions, and then you hatch them, and that's how you're getting voidlings. Later on, you can get a breeding station and you can breed them to have certain mutations. The mutation part almost reminds me a little bit of Ark in a way, where there's like these mutations that can give you passive abilities. So yeah, there's 9 species that you can control. And like I said, in each species, there's like 5 or 6 evolution paths that they can go down. And even if you picked like a cryo or an ice guy, there's still such different ways that you can go down that path of skill adjustment and leveling up that specific voidling, that it creates a very different experience when you are fighting creatures with that guy, because it gives you different skills, different abilities, different spells. So like the way you play, and it could be drastically different. There's one guy that is called a Gwigoon, and he Gwigoon, and he looks like if you took a monkey but then put Furby's face on him. It's kind of what he looks like. And then he's got extra arms. He's got, I think, 4 arms and then like 2 little legs.
To Furby? Is that guy never coming back? There hasn't been a Furby remake, or they haven't milked it at all. I had a Furby growing up, like a little one. I loved the movie.
Oh no. I had a Furby growing up, but then yeah, I think they've just like kind of disappeared, or they're now residing in lots of people's nightmares.
Yeah.
So, but
it
different.
Was scary.
Well, different. I think I said earlier that you can select any element for the species, which isn't entirely true. Some species gravitate more towards certain elements. Like there's this guy that looks like a really big lizard named a Glick or a Gillick, and he tends that species tends to gravitate more towards fire or ice. And so, but anyway, the Gwigoon is like this weird rumbly guy that does a ton of like somersaults and runs around, and basically his whole thing is he will create the illusion of minions. So they're multiple little guys and they're jumping around and basically just like exploding off of them. So you want to get really close to the enemy and you want a bunch of enemies to gravitate towards you. So kind of like a tank. Whereas there's another guy named the Carapin who kind of reminds me of a turtle. And actually one of his upgrades that I did for one of them, I picked like an ice guy. He literally gets like a turtle shell on his back. So he's way more of like a turtle. That guy is way more ranged. Like he's constantly shooting these arrows of ice and a Blastoise. Yeah. So it's cool because there's so many different kinds of voidlings that you can go for. And then there's so many different ways that you can specialize them, which is super fun. And the thing that makes me feel like this is Subnautica, I think, is more of the story. You're following a whole bunch of scientists trying to collect data on different planets, which is very similar to Subnautica, and also similar to Subnautica 2 specifically, is that part of what you're fighting is like a plague and like a viral plague, and you're trying to cleanse these planets so that way more voidlings, wild ones, can like come back to thriving levels instead of hiding and being killed by so many creatures of this like plague, basically.
And Amanda, you said it was a third person shooter. Mm-hmm. How does it feel to handle the different like, do they all feel different enough? Like,
I think so. Yeah. Like, I feel like what do they call it? The shoot, the Guigoon,
The
that's his name.
Goldilocks. That's what I'm going to call him.
The Goldilocks Guigoon, like him, he's kind of crazy to play. Like I feel like it's like playing a melee character in a way instead of it being an actual shooter with like something like the Carapan and stuff. A lot of them are more shooters, but like the actual controls themselves don't feel too bad. I will say you can really feel it on the Steam Deck and on a controller that there's no aim assist. It does. I feel like I had to tinker with my joystick sensitivities to like really get it right. Whereas obviously on a PC, it's very nice that you just
Point and click, baby.
Point and click, baby. There it is. Yeah. So I do prefer to play this game, I think, on a PC with a mouse and keyboard. But it was very nice and moved very fluidly and played great on the Steam Deck as well. It was just kind of my preference with it. But yeah, the music's kind of nice. The world building's cool. They have a lot of different biomes and a lot of different kind of worlds. I do feel on the downside, like I feel like the story just isn't as engaging to me. And part of that might be because I played so much Subnautica 2 and the story specifically is similar to that game. But I feel like Subnautica 2 kind of did it better, whereas like you're almost treasure hunting for the story and the quest and the lore, whereas this one is like people are giving it to you. And they kind of have a thing that they do that I think a lot of games do. Like I could have sworn Helldivers 2 did this, and definitely Escape from Tarkov, where you go to an NPC that's more merchant in place. Like the NPCs in this game are like upgrades or armor or buying more healing potions, things like that. But every NPC that you meet also will give assignments that are things like do 10 missions, kill 20 creatures this way, which to me feels very much like there's a lot of games that do it that way. And that's kind of cool. You get research points by doing that, and your research points allow you to permanently upgrade and evolve your voidlings. So that is pretty neat, but I feel like this is a game where after 10 hours, I'm like, this is the same thing at this point. And it's kind of the same gameplay loop of like, go to the hub, pick your mission, jump into the mission. I think where they really shine is that customization of each voidling. So you really feel like you had a hand. That part
seems really cool.
And that part's really neat. But like in a way, if you get kind of bored of that, or you're not like super into making amazing builds, like I think of the people that play like Path of Exile and even Diablo, and they go like way hard into the min-maxing of their build. I can see somebody that likes that doing really well with this game as well, because there's a lot of availability to do that with your stuff. But if you want like a Pokemon game with a lot of story, I don't necessarily think that this is the game for that. It is nice, and it is nice that you can just jump in, do a mission, and leave. And missions take like 15 minutes, not even. So it's short missions, which are nice. Some of them are just waves. Some of them are even shorter, but they're just basically wave survival. But I don't know. I found myself once in a while getting kind of bored, but then I unlock a new species, and then I'm like, oh, that's kind of cool. And so then I start like kind of playing that. So I think overall, I think this is a game I could have sworn it was in the $20 range, $20 to $30 range. I would wait for this game to go on sale, and then it's absolutely worth it and great because it is fun. There is a lot of content there, especially if you are somebody that likes going into missions, just playing and customizing your build. Then this game for sure is for you. I do think it's fun.
It passes the deck test, so
it
will it
does.
deck? If you have a deck, that's always, because you factor it in the price. You're like, $20 to $30, but then something like, I don't know, I'm thinking Nine Kings or whatever, like these really mobile Steam Deck friendly games. You're like, yeah, but I can play that at any time,
Yeah.
It becomes a little bit more useful, if there's ever a DLC, or it just makes me check on the game more and be willing to spend a little bit more, if I can take it around.
Yeah, it got me really thinking a lot about Bobby and what makes a good game. Is it for me? I do need a lot more story, and I do feel like the story of this game was lacking. But if you are a completionist and you love doing levels, you loved Spyro growing up, and a lot of these kind of games where you pick a mission, you jump in, you complete it to 100%, and then you like get to upgrade your build and customize. Like that's the core mechanic I think of this game, which is fun and it's good and it's done well. So that part is nice, but I could see myself getting bored after a while of playing this game for too long.
Okay, cool. Did you finish, or is there a finish, or is it like an endless sort of creature builder?
I think I did not finish. There is a lot in this game, though. Like, I mean, I played hours and I didn't unlock all of the species. So there is a lot to check out with the game. But to me, I do feel like it gets kind of grindy whenever I have to do that kind of mission select and then it's the same kind of fighting. Because I very quickly I find the style I like to fight. So to me, there's like the Gillick creature or the Gillick species guy, he's way more tanky and he's way more
Mhm.
of like you pick an area and he launches into it and it pushes people back and then you have to get close and fight them. I don't like
Yeah,
playing that style a lot of times and same with that Guigoon, like that's not really my style of playing. So then I
that's what you
gravitate.
had to play, basically.
You don't no, you don't have to play anything. They tell you in the mission like what elements would work the best against the enemies that are there. So say you're fighting these like electrical dudes, these more machine-based guys. They
Mm.
get destroyed very easily by like cryo and I think organic stuff. So poison and ice. And so you can select a voidling that you know has that
Oh, so
specialization.
you felt forced to pick a specialization that you didn't necessarily like the style of playing, but you almost had to, depending on the situation, and that
Yeah.
became repetitive and not something that you enjoyed.
Yeah,
Am I
but
understanding that right?
a bit, and also too, like I kind of just get bored of the same like gameplay loop. Like it's either so far the maps that I have found and played, and like I said, I've played this for hours. Has been almost mostly either you explore a little bit of a map. There's not a lot of puzzles. You kill a bunch of enemies that show up. You're looking for eggs. You're looking for elemental stuff and bursts and trinkets, treasures, right? Treasure hunting, whatever, in a level. And then you fight a boss and you come back, or you land and you're just surviving waves. You fight a boss and then you come back. That's like the two biggest
Mhm.
missions. And I haven't really seen like too much other than that. So to me, like I just kind of got bored of that style after a while, especially like when you are doing pretty good and you got your like method, right? And you kind of know how you want to play a voidling, then like it's just it on one hand it felt somewhat easy and just not challenging enough, but then again, I didn't get to like I didn't get to like the third planet. And from what I've seen online, like the third planet is a little different. They add some puzzles and so it
Mhm.
it might just be that like I didn't still play it long enough, but to me it kind of felt like a grind to keep playing the same kind of missions. Which I know in the beginning is really you're supposed to be trying and leveling up multiple species.
No,
But
I totally agree with you. I would drop
eh,
this game so fast. I hate the do 10 killing dude. Like, as soon as I saw that, I'd be like, no.
yeah, I only like that if it's like an MMO or I can RuneScape it,
Yeah,
right?
for
Where
some
it's like,
reason. Yeah,
okay, yeah,
RuneScape it.
kill
Yeah.
10 things and I'll be like, yeah, okay, I'll have that running on
I'll
my
do that on
second
my
monitor. Yeah.
second. Yeah.
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 But
Yeah.
this is
Yeah.
very active, you know, like there's combos, there's skills, and it is cool. Like I'm not I think overall, like this might be sounding like a Bobby review where I'm just like shitting on it and being like, I liked it, but I did like this
Is
game.
that Bobby? I like that. I think you're right. I think there might have been some reviews, maybe a lot of reviews sort of like that. I like it.
Yeah.
Did you ever play Star Wars Galaxies Restoration?
Not the restoration. No, I played the Star Wars Galaxies, the OG one, but
Well, that's a game, that's a second monitor game for a lot of like artisan materials and high-end components. Like once you get your character to a certain level, a lot of people, I think they do something called dual logging. So they're still playing the game, but one of their characters is on macro somewhere farming, and the other character is doing a more active quest or role playing, talking to
yeah.
characters. So I feel like that could be a great second monitor Amanda game. Anyways, got to rep Star Wars Galaxy's Restoration, of course.
No, that'd be
Legally,
great. I remember being I wanted to be a Twi'lek entertainer and I really
yeah.
wanted my own house and my own racer and I just wanted to ride around.
You should do it because the entertainer class is like an extra second monitor game.
Yeah.
Like you'll get a ding from a customer whenever they need a buff or if they have a question. And so you can go to your second monitor. What does this asshole want? Oh, he wants 10% XP buff and he's wondering If so and so came in because he's hunting a bounty or whatever, have you seen so and so? No, I haven't seen so and so unless you got the credits, and 10% bounty sounds good. And then you go back to whatever you're doing, that's fulfilling. At least it was fulfilling for me when I was.
I don't know which game's gonna have to go on the second monitor if I play that though. Like, who's getting the second monitor spot? Because I'm gonna want to play RuneScape and that at the same time.
They're gonna fight for the second monitor spot.
You guys are fighting for the second monitor slot. Yeah. All right. Well, yeah, it was a solid Voidling bound. Like I said, I do recommend it. I think that just wait maybe till it goes under $20 and then it's beyond worth it for sure. They have a lot of good stuff there. So, alrighty, moving on. Christian, what do you want to play?
I think we should get rid of the bumper and replace it with our a cappella versions of it. I like this one. Like the zhizz and the yums. Yeah, I don't know. Anyways, think about it. Wars of Suzerain is a game I really want to play. So Suzerain was a text-based role-playing game. I think it came out around 2020, 2019. Just about being the leader of a World War II era kingdom where the monarchy has been exiled and you are the new leader. So when I played this game, I remember talking about it. I played it I was like, this is one of the greatest games I ever played. And I was in a mode where I was saying that a lot. And I do believe it. Like I love these games. Maybe I love them too much. And Amelia was like, okay, dude, like this is a developer no one's heard of. This is like a really obscure genre, like these text-based role-playing kingdom management political sims. Then I was like, I'm looking at the review score now. It's 93% positive. They're spinning off 4 other games within this universe, well, games and DLC. And I'm like, take that, Emilio. It was one of the greatest games I ever played. One of the greatest games on Steam with that rating. Come on. Like some of these other kingdom roleplay games, this does a really good job of putting the responsibility of leadership on your shoulders. So you have your familial sphere, then you have your political allies in the political realm, and you have what's in the national interest. And then, okay, but what does that mean for our international presence, right? Like, how does this affect our neighbors, and how does that turn around and affect us? And then each of these choices has a moral consequence. So I remember early on in my Suzerain run, the broadcast head of a state-owned corporation came to me, and they're supposed to be at arm's length. And he said, listen, we can endorse some of your next political moves to help them become a little bit more popular. We'll give you favorable airtime. We need $1 million because I need to buy a mansion and I'm going to put it on the side of this lake for my family. And you have a limited amount of resources, so this isn't like a free decision. And there's repercussions for everything. So it's like, if anyone finds out about this. But at the time, my popularity was tanking. And it was tanking because I was making all these moral decisions that were pissing off a bunch of these fucking oligarchic and different segments of society, and even some family members who felt a certain way. Yeah. And so I was under all this pressure, and I was like, okay, let's do it. And at the very end of the game, this decision comes back and it bites me in the ass, and it felt so good. I was like, I can't believe I forgot about this asshole and his mansion. I can't believe this is coming up now at this time, at this crescendo of events, like this great war started. And so one of the greatest games ever. And there's a comment on what Wars of Suzerain is doing different on YouTube that I put here. It's first they turned Hearts of Iron into a visual novel, and now they're turning a visual novel into Hearts of Iron. So Wars of Suzerain is like, what if Hearts of Iron was played from the perspective of just one general, and that general had a conscience and a family and other like political aspirations. And it's more of like a character-driven strategy game. So there's still like, all the different stats of the tanks and the regiment makeups and the morale and the physical distribution of your troops and, very Hearts of Iron supply lines, all that stuff. And then there's this other Suzerain part of it, which is like, but what does your wife think about you working the long hours? What does your boss think? Your boss sucks. You like him? Well, fuck, because he's paying you, and he sucks. He's corrupt. And so this is just a fascinating mashup. And I'm so excited that they're making this game.
That's cool.
And guys, it's coming to you before there's even a Steam page. You're hearing it from me first. All they've posted is a teaser trailer and some additional info on their website. So before the greater public is here, you're hearing this from a Suzerain fan, basically. And I want all of you to consider being Suzerain fans and follow the development of Wars of Suzerain. I think it's going to be a really good one. I'm just so sold on this idea, and I know they can do the roleplay aspect of it. I guess the connection is, are they going to be able to deliver like a really satisfying strategy war game too? So we'll see.
Yeah. Yeah, I'd be interested. I like that Suzerain is so obviously important to have like choices matter, right? To me, that seems like one of the ultimate choices matter games. Like you said, you make a decision and then it comes back to get you.
Did you play Suzerain?
No, I played a tiny bit. Like, I think I did a demo and was like, yeah, this is good. But then I remember being like, I ain't got the time for this right now.
Yeah, of course.
So,
yeah.
As it always goes. But
Well, what do you want to play, Amanda?
I want to play. Okay, there's a new genre out that I've been hearing little chatterings about on the socials, and it's called Friend Slop. And I love that name. I think that's very funny. And the game that I want to play is another Friend Slop game. What the hell is Friend Slop, right? Think of your Peak. Think of your Mecha Chameleon. Think of like what was another one?
Repo, Lethal Company.
Yes, these are friend slops. So these are games that are pretty basic and easy. Usually you have a task to do or a few tasks. Among Us, I think, was one of the first friend slops actually. And it's such a great game to get you to be playing with your friends. That's why they have it that, right? And so there's one called Dear Passengers. Like I'm writing you a letter, Dear Passengers, where you and your buddies are in control of a plane. You have to get the passengers seated. You have to give them food. You have to give them water. You have to pilot the plane. You have to fix issues in real time as they happen in the plane. You can select certain cargo. Like I saw somebody deliver an atomic bomb was one of their cargos. And so like the riskier things that you pick, either the riskier, bigger pain in the ass passengers that you select, or the trickier, problematic cargo, like a massive alligator in a very weakly made cage is one of the cargoes you have to bring. Like that will increase your amount of money. That will increase the amount of like rewards that you have, but you're like guaranteed to run into problems. And so it sounds very funny. It's very funny. It's got like the same look that like Repo does. Like it reminded me a lot of Repo, in the way that it looks, but yeah, you're basically just, working at a super cheap, Frontier Spirit version of airlines that guaranteed to have problems, but you're there with your friends and you guys are going to fix it and get the people delivered and home together.
Have you ever been on an airplane where there's been a problem person?
I guess that my flight home here to Vancouver was annoying. There was a
Really?
well, not really a problem. It's a kid. Kids are obnoxious on planes sometimes. Like this kid was straight up doing the like, I'm going to kick using my whole leg right into your back the whole 4 hours.
Oh,
which
really?
is obnoxious.
That's a failure from up top. Why? What parent would allow? That's really
so
annoying.
I, like the grown, mature adult I did, chose to watch Weapons, so that way I hopefully scared the kid into not doing shit with having a very scary movie.
That's crazy. Now he's probably some like iPad kid who couldn't control his limbs. Just
yeah.
I have all this energy, but all I do is look at a screen. I have to kick the chair in front of me.
What do I have to do? Yeah, exactly. But
I can't remember. Oh, I did this flight from the Netherlands back to Calgary, and the reason why I was on this flight was because my original flight had been canceled when I flew from Spain to the Netherlands. I was grounded and had to wait a whole day because of this intense fog. And when they said fog, I was like, what? Like, I've never had a plane canceled because of fog before. This seems stupid. And then I looked at the window and I was like, oh my God, like this is something else. Like there's fog and then there's like Silent Hill fog. Like this is this is capital FOG fog. And so a bunch of people had their flights canceled, and I was on the plane the next day with, of course, all the people who got their little voucher and there was this family and they ended up getting split up in the seats, and they're like, no, we'd really like to sit together. We bought the seats originally together, and now that we're on this new flight, and they were like, yeah, we can seat you together, no problem. But something wasn't communicated right. Maybe there's a language barrier between everyone, and they started to get really upset at the airline people. And then the husband started yelling at the wife, and the wife started yelling at the husband, and it became like an interfamilial conflict in front of the kids. I was like, this is really awkward.
Yikes.
And they were also like tiny people, not tiny. Sorry, they were shorter adults full of energy. So when they were getting really angry and animated at each other, like they were just moving so fast. And then there's this like humongous Dutch, like he must have been like 6'10", agent working at the gate, and he's like, is everything gonna be okay here? Like, we're gonna have to send you home if you keep arguing. It's just, he's so big, and like his limbs are he's like an ant compared to like Frodo and Sam arguing over second breakfast.
Oh my gosh.
And it was just funny to be behind because I had to wait, and I mean, I didn't mind. I knew I was getting on the plane eventually, right?
Yeah.
And then the whole plane ride, they were also like bickering. I don't know. It was just weird vibes. I was like, something's off. Something's off at this group.
Like, do you two even like each other? Come on. Like,
yeah. Let's do therapy right now.
Yeah, that's crazy. No, and I just remembered, like, I think the only other time I've flown a lot, granted, majority of it's all domestic United States flying, right? Not anything. I feel like when you do like an international flight, tensions can run a lot higher because they're much longer flights and longer travel days for everyone involved. But I did see like some really nasty behavior before when I was flying to Phoenix, Arizona one time. And there were two, I remember because I was sitting right behind them, there were these two guys that were going home to Scottsdale. So anybody listening in Arizona, Scottsdale, I don't know their names, but you know the type. They're like the douchebag golf bros that like think they have a ton of money, but it's really inherited. So like, I don't know. But anyway, like these guys were dressed in their polo shirts, and they were talking about how like they didn't want to go home to their wives because they were like annoying and they just wanted to be away longer. But I felt so
wanted to be together, dude.
Yeah,
this
they
is
wanted
a
to be. Yeah,
story.
right. Well, no, maybe not.
Brokeback golf bro.
There was a girl. There was a girl that was also sitting with them. So it was kind of like there was one douchebag guy at the aisle seat, there was another douchebag guy at the window, and then the poor person in the middle was this like younger woman. I'd probably put her at like maybe 19, 20. Not a child, but very, very young, like very young. Yeah. And she goes to get up. Literally, the two guys are like talking to each other, right? And talking about golfing. And she like goes to get up, and then the one guy in the aisle just all of a sudden like there's no other way to put, like, he pretends to be asleep, but he was like so animated and talking like literally minutes before that it's kind of like, I don't think you fell asleep. And she's sitting there being like, sir, can you please get up? I need to go to the bathroom. I need to go to the bathroom. And then the guy in the window seat, his friend, is like, oh, just walk over him. Oh, just walk over him. He's sleeping. Like, yeah, just cross over him. So she had to like straddle him to get across. And then as soon as she goes to the bathroom, he pops up, looks to the guy at the window, and is like, nice, thanks. And I'm like, oh, this fucking gross. This girl, though, dude, props to her. It's disgusting. Yeah, this girl, though.
It's weird that it's like a set play for them. They're like, oh yeah, the fucking mid-seat plane play. It's like
fucking weird. Horrible. But the mad props to the girl and the flight attendants. This was on a Southwest flight. She went to the flight attendants and talked about not feeling very comfortable because the one guy in the window seat kept trying to get her number as well. So it's like, dude, you're not. That's creepy. Stop it. Also, you're talking about your wife, man. Like, what are you doing? Like, and so it's just gross, right? Yeah. But to the props to the Southwest flight attendant, she like comes by and she's like, hey, as soon as she walks by the guy in the aisle seat, it's like, hey, where did the girl that was sitting next to us go? Where did she go? And the flight attendant's like, well, we decided she's not feeling very well, so we decided to change her seat to being closer to the flight attendants. And he was like, oh, what? She's probably fine. Why doesn't she just come back and sit here? And he's like, I want another drink. And
Bro, they were going to follow her home,
yeah,
dude. Like,
and
these bad energy.
The flight attendant was like, no, we're not serving you any more alcohol. And he fucking blew a fuse. He's like, I will never fly Southwest again. You better serve me alcohol. You better. And she's like, if you don't calm down, we will land this plane and kick you off and ban you for life. And like, I was like, nice. And so that was definitely the grossest and
sweet justice.
Yeah, that was
and credits
nasty.
to the girl for sticking up for herself and,
and handling that situation.
It can be hard in those situations. Yeah, totally. Two fucking bullies on the plane.
Yeah, weirdos.
Yep. Anyways,
that's pretty much a show. Sticking with I'm gonna take one from Christian's notes earlier. We're gonna go, here comes the bumper. Get ready. That's what it is. Yeah. Christian, what's our community up to?
So we asked, how long does it take for you to play a game before you think it's worth the money you paid for it? This is after an indie game was refunded 55,000 times, and the indie game has a 93% positive rating, and I think it's about an hour playtime. And the dev was like, listen, like, I made a great game, clearly, and all these people have bought it, and they've refunded it, and they've done that purposefully. They paid their $3, and they're like, I can get $3 back. Like, these fucking toonie pinchers over here, probably these fucking guys on the plane, the golf pros.
10,000%.
They found the game.
Yeah.
So the Livingston from our community says, Sayonara Wild Hearts is one of the best short games I've ever bought, and I'll do it again. And I have bought and returned a couple games, but generally they didn't have a demo and felt bad. Usually less than an hour to figure that out. So that's how the refund system is supposed to work. You're not supposed to play a whole game and be like, that was good, return.
Yeah.
Greg says the Milk in a Bag of Milk series is one that's under an hour each, and I kept both games. I honestly think it depends how good the game is. I've had more fun with a 5-hour game than some 60-hour games, so those games were obviously worth more to me. Obviously, Milk Inside of a Bag of Milk is beloved to this podcast. It's one of the games Amanda brought to us, so thank you, Amanda.
Great.
And Nyanko says, made a graph. But this is like typical Nyanko stuff. He'll like take a question and be like, actually, I just like did some data analysis on my Steam library.
Yeah.
So he says, for third-party RPG, 0.4 euros per hour, because it's usually a meaty AAA title that wasn't even that expensive because of a sale, and I feel like I paid too little. For a VR game, 3 to 5 to 6.5 euros per hour is fine because it's a shorter experience and yet more expensive than a flat-screen game.
True.
For a roguelite, I see my medium cost is 2.5 euros per hour, and I drop or sometimes finish that game after 2 hours. That's too high of a cost played per hour, and I often feel like I paid too much for those games. Yeah, I feel like I agree with all this.
I do too.
And then for the most part, he writes 0.5 to 1.5 euros per hour is usually fine. And I don't really like the money per hour, but there's a psychological thing to this, obviously, where you're like, how much effort did they put into this game? How big was the team? How much content is there? All these things. What's the art style even? If it looks super indie and you have to pay $80 for it, a lot of people don't like that.
Mm.
So this is fascinating stuff. Thank you guys for answering. Oh shit, I'm gonna cough a look up. JBEC Quest 4 says, I yearn for $1 an hour. That's the happy boy.
Yeah. $1 an hour is not too bad, I think. Yeah, not too shabby.
Yeah, but what happens if like you pay for 300 hours? Like, is he going to give the developers more money? Is he like, I don't go over $1 an hour.
Yeah.
If we get down to 50 cents, I give you extra.
Very true. Yeah.
Time Killer B asks from Discord, Christian, how was Mass Effect going? Mass Effect was going good. Everyone has told me the second and third games are so much better. That's not the right word. They hold up in the modern day a lot more rigorously because they have additional depth that Mass Effect 1 doesn't have. And obviously Mass Effect was the first game and the second and third games, so by the time they came around, a lot of the systems were perhaps a little bit more polished or modern that you might expect. So basically what I'm saying is Mass Effect is fun from the perspective of me going to a museum and looking at the Albertosaurus and being like, dang, those must have been so good. But the actual, it feels like a bit of the slog. They're always trying to get me to do side quests. I'm like, I'm sticking on a story, but there's a bit of a mystery in Mass Effect where you're discovering things, and sometimes I don't actually know what the main quest is. It's not like clearly evident. It could be 2 planets, and I go to one and like, this doesn't feel like it is. Anyways, what I mean to say is Mass Effect is still on the list of things I would like to complete, but it falls after Cyberpunk now. So thank you for the question. I'm dying.
Makes sense. Take it. This week, we're going to be plugging something a little bit more wholesome. I'm going to be plugging in to those that mean something special in your life. So call your mama, call your dad, call your siblings, call your friends. It's probably a good chunk of time. Everybody's getting so sucked up into summer and all the fun stuff and sucked up into sickness. But if there's one thing that, like, being back.
Oh, sucked up to the sickness.
Sucked up to the sickness. Yeah, I think we're both feeling that. Yeah. But then also, too, like spending the whole last week with family and reconnecting was really nice. So I encourage all of you listening to maybe after this, maybe sometime today, call somebody that you've been thinking, I really should call them soon. Do it. Do it now. That's my plug. Go do it.
Call any Brazilian you know and ask them, did you hack the TLG podcast?
Yeah. Oh, my goodness.
Executive producer, Truthbringer, thank you. I don't have a lot of gas left in this tank. Thank you to Rianne, who is my wife. She made a real-life cake to celebrate DLG's 1-year Wordle anniversary.
Yeah.
Which was amazing. I help her put the groceries away after she brings it home. She goes with Mara, which is our daughter. She comes back. And I go, oh, what's this? We don't usually buy like cake in a box. She goes, I'm making a cake to celebrate our 1 year of Wordle. I went, oh, that's so sweet.
So cute.
So
what flavor cake was it? What flavor cake?
I think it was like birthday cake flavor. I can't quite remember, like vanilla.
That's cute.
Yeah, I'm going to fuck it up. Yeah. What should we name the cake? That was my question, Amanda.
Okay. We should name it. I would want to name it what I start every single Wordle with, which is tread. That's my word for Wordle.
Love it.
So to me, that cake is named Tread.
Tread.
Yeah.
Welcome to the DLG family, Tread.
Yeah.
Couldn't have done it without you.
But it's so awesome. If anybody wants to check out that cake, we definitely have it in our Discord. Could check it out. Although that wasn't a plug for Discord. Sorry. Still, call your mama. Anyway, this was a show. My name is Amanda, and joining me today was Christian. Tune in next week because I'm sure somebody is going to be doing something.
We don't have the hook. We don't have it. We fucking sorry.
The hook
we don't have it.
Tune in next week to find out what continues with the fraud saga of the Brazilians trying to hack into our account.
We will have that.
We will have that update. That's true. Yeah. So, Christian, what's playing us out?
A theme song from Voidling Bound. Goodbye.
Goodbye.